Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. What an exciting day for Chicago. Thank you all for being here on the south side of the city of Chicago. What's up, Rosalind? As we come to the end of Mental Health Awareness Month, we are certainly thrilled to announce the expansion of our city's mental health system. So today we are joined by a number of people. Thank you to our wonderful chair, Rodriguez Sanchez. We have Chair Sigcho Lopez. We have our Vice Mayor from the west side of the city of Chicago, Walter Burnett is here. Our CDPH Commissioner, Dr. Ige. CFD Commissioner, thank you, Nance Holt, for being here. 2FM Commissioner, Hernandez Tomlin. DHR Commissioner, Blake Moore. OMC Executive Director, Tararo. We have several deputy mayors and senior leaders from my administration that are here today, and members of the community, which is most important. I'm so grateful, though, that there are so many people who recognize the importance of this moment. It's a difficult truth, though, that many residents endure trauma living in our communities, and whether it's from violence, addiction, homelessness, or poverty, that trauma is quite profound. Despite the trauma of these challenges, too few can rely on consistent, affordable, accessible mental health care that they need. Being up here today, it's actually quite personal, though. Today, I can't help but think about my brother Leon, my hero. He was a loving husband and father, a brilliant musician, but he struggled with mental illness throughout his entire life. Tragically, he passed away before his time. He was addicted and unhoused. But I also think about my daughter, Braden. I think about a conversation that we had when she was just 7 years old. Now, I say conversation, but it was really a disagreement. I don't know how often you are in disagreements with 7-year-olds, but I was in one. And I was trying to tell her something when she turned and said to me, and I'll never forget this, she said, "Daddy, you are triggering me." Now, at 7 years old, I was certainly taken aback because I never, ever, ever, ever talked to my parents like that. But when I thought about it, I realized how powerful it was that at such a young age, that she had the language to describe how she felt in that moment. She had the language to express herself and say what she needed. I couldn't help think about my brother, though, Leon. Would he still be on this earth if he had the language to say what he needed? And I also believe that his time on the earth would have been extended had he had access to mental health care services. So my brother Leon is in my heart. My daughter, Braden, her words will always ring true. And that's why it's personal for me today. It's very personal for me to be up here today. My administration is working to create a Chicago where the people who are suffering from mental health crisis, like my brother Leon, can receive the treatment that they need. And while we are making this major announcement today, this work actually began a generation ago. See, it was in 1987 under Mayor Harold Washington that the Chicago Mental Health Task Force presented a report that noted in its executive summary the need for a plan for comprehensive mental health delivery services, a system that could deliver mental health services. And under Mayor Harold Washington, the city expanded its mental and behavioral health services. But like many things in 1987, when he was removed from here, from 1987 to today, other administrations chose to close mental health services and mental health facilities. Our city went from 19 mental health centers to a mere 5. And we began relying heavily on our police and fire departments to respond to behavioral health crises. But that trend ends today. Today, my administration has taken an extraordinary steps to reverse the course and expand our city's system of mental health. We are standing here on the far south side to make it clear that we are prioritizing those who have been left behind and discarded by previous administrations. I'm proud to announce that my administration is going to reopen the Roseland Health Center that was previously shuttered by past administrations. But we are not just stopping here in Roseland. We are going to partner with the Chicago Public Library to offer services at the Legler Regional Library on the west side of Chicago in the Garfield Park community. And we're adding mental health services in the Pilsen neighborhood so that Chicagoans can receive mental health care at the same time that they are coming in for services at the CDPH Lower West Side Vaccine Clinic. Let's give it up for both of those additional neighbors. So these are three new spaces that represent the power of organizing and the power of community. Today is a culmination of a 6-month working group, and this process that has brought the community together, the city, the mayor's office, to create citywide plan for mental health system expansion. And it is the culmination of over a decade of organizing by fearless individuals who occupied mental health centers trying to save our city's clinics. I'm proud to stand alongside many of those partners and leaders today to present the working group's Mental Health Services Expansion Report. In addition to expanding clinical services, this report outlines our goals for a comprehensive and holistic mental health framework. We are working to ensure our city's care teams are mental health focused, alleviating the over-reliance on CPD and CFD in our mental health crisis response, and ensuring that everyday Chicagoans are aware of the services that we are offering in our respective communities. Over 400 community partners told us that they wanted low barrier access to mental health services in their neighborhoods, as well as to make sure that we are delivering in these spaces. And this year, we will deliver 3 new spaces to the people of Chicago. And finally, looking ahead in this report, you will also see that starting this year, that the city's care teams will be staffed by CDPH, while CPD and CFD will be phased out of our city's alternate response program. Because mental health crises and mental health crises calls deserve trauma-informed responses. And because our police officers and firefighters deserve to focus on holding criminals accountable and putting out fires and not responding to mental health crises, this is just simply the right and the smart thing to do. And the alternate response program that we are building will include professionals in the field, EMTs and community health workers who can lead a trauma-informed response, as well as connect Chicagoans to the services that we offer throughout the city. And this mental health system expansion has been a long time coming, you all. Yeah. And yet there are many who thought that it wasn't possible. And many actually thought that it shouldn't be a priority. But it is a priority. And aren't you glad that there were people that are wrong and that there are a whole bunch of us that are right? Addressing our residents' mental health needs and improving our response to mental health crisis is critical for the future of our city and for all of our people. After 4 decades of closings, I'm proud to stand here today as we announce our first reopening. And this is just the beginning, you all. We will continue to link arms with all of you to realize the goals that are laid out in this important report. So I want to thank everyone from the city and beyond who have been instrumental in the creation of our report, as well as those who have been advocating for this work for generations. I look forward to our continued partnership. I'll continue to keep my brother Leon front and center and my daughter Braden in my heart as we build on this work today. And now it is truly my honor, it is really my honor to bring the chair of the city's Committee on Health and Human Relations. She's been a true champion, has fought multiple administrations, had to endure ridicule, experienced her own trauma, advocating for trauma responses. But she never flinched, you all, never flinched. So please, you all, help me welcome to the podium the chairperson, the City Council's Health and Human Relations Committee, Alderwoman Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez.
It's been a long time. And we are here, and I was thinking about all of the times that we were told no, but we kept coming back. I really want to give a shout out and show my deepest appreciation to the Collaborative for Community Wellness. This fight started over a decade ago to reopen the mental health centers, and in 2020, together we introduced a council order to create a mental health crisis non-police model. And we did it together. And from that time on, we fought like hell to be able to get the kind of care that our communities deserve. And we were told no way too many times. But movement did what movement needed to do, organize. And we organized our hearts out. And now we're here. We are finally reopening some of these mental health centers and creating a comprehensive system so that we can take care of our people as people deserve. I want to dedicate this moment to both Leon, Mayor Johnson's brother, and Irene Chavez. We are going to create the systems of care that are needed to keep people alive. And that is the most important thing. That is our task. I stand here today proud and moved to see our vision of Treatment Not Trauma grow into a thoughtful and detailed plan to deliver public life-saving healthcare to communities across Chicago. I continue to be inspired by the hard work, courage, and leadership of community organizers and advocates for helping us all imagine a world where we can truly care for everyone. I am grateful to Mayor Brandon Johnson's leadership and commitment to investing in Chicago's public mental health centers and to developing a non-police restorative first responder network focused on both prevention and treatment. It has long been time for our city to meaningfully invest in public programs that provide supportive structures of care for our communities. Treatment Not Trauma, at its core, is about creating sustainable public infrastructures of care to connect people in need to appropriate treatment and resources. The campaign leads with a vision for an integrated prevention and treatment-focused ecosystem of city-run mental health centers across Chicago's neighborhoods that includes a non-police and peer-supported mental and behavioral health first responder system. Over the years, the Campaign for Treatment Not Trauma has learned from programs across the country to inform our approach here locally, considering all of the specific challenges and opportunities we have in Chicago. The following report was written in collaboration with organizers, community partners, people with lived experience either working in or receiving care from Chicago's mental health centers, city departments, and staff. And a lot of them are going to look really tired because they have worked around the clock to make sure that we had this report ready. And I appreciate them so much for it. There has been so many late night calls. I'm deeply grateful for it. As we delve into the findings of this report, I invite you to consider not only the progress made, but also the work that lies ahead. Our city stands at a critical juncture, presenting us with an opportunity to build a robust system of mental health care. Your engagement and support are crucial as we strive to build healthier, safer, and more compassionate communities for all. Thank you. I am so sorry, you all. And now I want to invite to the podium somebody that came to Chicago to us in an incredible process that was a consensus that she was the most qualified and the person that we needed here to lead us. And I am so grateful to be able to partner in this work with Commissioner Ige.
To the good people of Roseland and Pilsen and West Garfield, I want to speak to you today. Allow me to be a bit emotional. I know that there is no one in the audience today who does not have a personal story of a friend, of a loved one, of a family member with a mental health issue. 30 years ago, when my mother was diagnosed with clinical depression, the only option that was available to us was electric shock treatment. And we couldn't even talk about it because there was shame, there was stigma. In 2020, when my 20-year-old woke up in the middle of the night with terrors in cold sweat, and it became a pattern of panic attacks, similar to Mayor Johnson, similar to Chairwoman. We have these stories of loved ones, of family members, of friends, of colleagues who have struggled. But the difference was that in 2020, I could pick up a phone and call somebody and talk to somebody. And now that 20-year-old, he graduated this summer from college. I am excited today because the folks that have been in the margins are now in the center. The communities that were not priority are now priority. Roseland is a priority. Pilsen is a priority. West Garfield is a priority. Being brown or being black in the city of Chicago is not a reason why you will be deprived of the services that you need. Yeah. That is the story today, that we chose to come here. The other story today is that today we can talk about mental health like it is normal. We do not have to be ashamed. People who look like me often feel like they cannot acknowledge that they have problems, that they have to weather the storm, they have to struggle through it, they have to power through. And today we're here to tell you, you don't have to do it alone. We are here for you. The Chicago Department of Public Health, we have chosen to come here and bring services here so that you do not have to be ashamed and you do not have to power through and you do not have to walk this journey alone, because we have walked the same journeys. What does it mean to bring mental health services to the community of Roseland or Pilsen? What it means is that if you are a mother out there and your children are going through the same thing my children went through, they're having panic attacks, they're not eating, they're locking themselves in the room, they are afraid, they're depressed, they're having problems with substances, help is available, and it is right here in your neighborhood. We want folks to know that if you have loved ones that have severe mental illness and they need medication management, we don't know how to use their medication, they don't know who to advise, there is going to be help right here. We want you to know that we're not just bringing therapists, we're going to bring therapists that look like us, that understand our culture. We have hired 19 different people, many of them black and brown, who will serve our communities with compassion. They are culturally competent, they feel it, they know it because they have walked in our shoes. That is what we're bringing here. And we're not doing it halfway. We're doing it well, excellently, because that is what our communities deserve. We are not announcing a location. We're announcing a state-of-the-art, best-in-class services for our community. When this place is done, it is going to be beautiful. I walked with the chairwoman and I said, this is my vision. We want people to experience government. We want people to experience health services that they are proud of, that the community can point to and say, this is ours. And it will be excellent, it will be beautiful, it will be compassionate, it will be culturally appropriate, it will be everything that you want it to be. And we are going to be working with you. So my promise to you is that we are going to take this journey together. We want to invite you to co-create with us. This is just an announcement of a location, but the design and the services and how we relate and how we engage with you, we want that to be done with you and by you. And so I am looking forward to a Chicago where everybody feels seen and heard, where the color of your skin or the money in your pocket doesn't determine the quality of care that you get. And that where everybody feels they can access the health services that they need, including mental health services. Thank you for your partnership, and it is going to be awesome. I am sorry, I got carried away. And now, I am going to introduce my co-conspirator, partner, friend, Arturo.
Sorry. I'm trying not to get emotional because it's been many years of struggle. First, I want to thank our elders who are with us today, who were here to resist the closure of the 12 public mental health centers, allowing us to remain with 5. That came because of struggle. We have these 5 to build from because of their efforts. We picked up the torch and we moved forward, and we created the Collaborative for Community Wellness to do our own research, to do our own advocacy, to introduce legislation in 2020 that for the first time created a non-police crisis response alternative when only a police-centered model was being presented to us as the only option. We pushed for the non-police system to be established, created, and allow us the opportunity to build from that. We worked together with our alders who were elected to reopen the public mental health centers, like Alderwoman Rosana, Alderman Byron Cincho Lopez. They fought with us in their first term to ensure that the administration will listen. And when they didn't listen, when the last administration didn't listen, we elected a mayor who did. Yeah. We have a champion who not only listened, but rolled up his sleeves and advocated for us from the 5th floor to ensure that Chicagoans can have access to quality public mental health system that can provide the care that everyone in Chicago deserves, so we could pass that forward to the next generation. So every Chicagoan can have the care that they deserve whenever they're dealing with a crisis, whenever they need to talk to somebody, whenever they need just to have the preventative supports to prevent the crisis from happening. These are the solutions that are created when you listen to the people. The Collaborative for Community Wellness developed our own report after we listened to over 400 community residents through 7 listening sessions throughout the entire city. Through our efforts to create the ordinance that created this working group, collectively with the mayor's office, with city council members, we were able to gather that input and collectively create this report. Our work now is to ensure that it's successful, that we work in partnership with all Chicagoans to ensure that everybody has access to the quality mental health care that is a human right. That is what Treatment Not Trauma is all about, making sure mental health access is a human right. Brevemente en español, para la comunidad que habla español. Hemos logrado aquí lo que nos dijeron que era imposible. Nos habían dicho que las clínicas de salud mental que se habían cerrado no se podían reabrir. Teníamos líderes, promotoras, gente de la comunidad, madres y padres, que desean lo mejor para sus hijos, luchando con nosotros para obligar a la administración que nos escuche, que sepa que reabriendo clínicas de salud mental es lo mejor para nuestra gente, para nuestra comunidad. Hoy en día tenemos un alcalde que nos escuchó, tenemos un alcalde que está aquí reabriendo esta clínica que fue cerrada para el beneficio de nuestra gente. Todos unidos pudimos lograr esto con el apoyo de la colaborativa de Bienestar Comunitario y todas nuestras organizaciones que se unieron para apoyar a nuestros concejales como Byron, como concejal Rosana, para que ellos podrían luchar por nosotros con el apoyo del alcalde para lograr esta meta que tanto esfuerzo nos costó. Les damos gracias a todas las líderes, las mamás, las que desafortunadamente también no pudieron estar con nosotros hoy en día, para poder seguir adelante juntos y crear el sistema de salud mental que todo Chicago merece. Gracias. We're all just getting too emotional. We're not doing that. I have the distinct honor to welcome Ms. Diane to offer a few words as well.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Diane Adams, Diane Adams. I am a leader with Southside Together, Organized for Power, and a resident of the 6th Ward. I know firsthand how important access public mental health care is. In '96, my son and my only child was killed. Following his death, I was in a deep depression. In '98, I tried to commit suicide. In 2005, I was in a coma for months. It took years for me to begin to heal. After finding the right therapist, I was able to get the support I need. My therapist gave me my self-esteem back, gave me my confidence back. Through hard work and care, I was able to get my life back. I know that accessible quality mental health care is life-changing and life-saving. I am so glad to be here this morning because with the working group report, we finally have a plan for how to expand the public mental health system. And this plan incorporates the voice of the community. We know the solution that we need. I am hopeful that we will be able to quickly move forward with these community-based solutions that are so needed in our neighborhood. We need everyone to work together to do right by the people of our city. After years of fighting, I've been fighting this for 13 years. Now we have a mayor who was willing to follow through on his promise. At one point in the fight, we had 28 aldermen who said they support keeping the center open. And Ronnie Manuel got aldermen to change their vote. He said he had 50 aldermen and that he only need 25 to do what he want. When Lightfoot campaigned, she ran on the strength that she was going to reopen the clinic. And once she got in office, she reneged on her promise. I'm standing here in front of Roseland Clinic that we also fought to save. And after all these years, it will be reopened. I want to thank the mayor for keeping your promises and saying that you reopen because I'm a person that came out of the system. Look at me now. So we need, I'm a strong woman now. And when I came into the system, I was there. But now here I am. I'm a leader. Yes, you are. Oh, I don't know who. Oh, shit. Oh, I would like to introduce my best friend, Cheryl Miller.
Okay, I owe him an ashe, so.
Yes. Hi, and thank you. I've asked Mr. Ronald Jackson, also aka Cowboy with a K, to stand with me. And also, I had my list out, and then my phone closed. Okay. So, How many times have we heard, how many times have we said, when we fight, we win? We have said it, and for 13 years, people said it, and somehow held on to the belief that this day would come when reality denied this ever happening. When we had people saying, oh no, the business of government is to help business. People don't matter. If you take care of business, that takes care of the people. And we have found that's not true, haven't we? When we say, oh, it's okay to have things privatized, it works just as well. It doesn't. STOP got into this fight and helped spearhead the mental health movement, Southside Together Organizing for Power, as Ms. Diane mentioned, spearheaded the mental health movement when one of our members who was at the Woodlawn Center said, my clinic is being closed. And saying that sparked a movement. And he is not able to attend today. And I would also like to say hands out to people who are here from the mental health movement, Ms. Badana Reingold, Mr. Jackson, and of course, Ms. Diane. I'm sorry, Dr. Judy King, who I was going to credit as being a fighter for the advisory, the Chicago Advisory Mental Health Boards, and also the mental health movement. So some people wear a lot of hats in this movement. But I would also like to take a pause so that we can acknowledge people who are not here today, people who we need, voices that we lost because these clinics were closed because police respond to crisis. We did not have an alternative crisis that actually had mental health professionals and peer support and EMTs. So I would like to, of the people from the mental health movement who are no longer here with us, and I would like to mention Ms. Helen Morley, who flat out told Rahm Emanuel, if you close my clinic, I will die. Jeanette Hansen, Horace Howard, Carol Sewall Smith, Michelle Roby, Lonnie Richardson, and I would also add to this list, although not members of the mental health movement, but had we had a humane, compassionate, appropriate crisis response, Laquan McDonald may still be here, Quintonio Laguerre may still be here. And so could we have a moment of pause? So people, as I mentioned, fighting for these centers put everything on the line. The occupation of the Woodlawn Clinic is well known. The occupation of the Roseland Center is not so much. And I asked Mr. Jackson if he would, who risked arrest, risked becoming homeless in order to fight and the demand that this center be reopened.
You're a preacher's son, right?
Yes.
All right, we fixing to go to church.
Okay, but not too long.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, you said a minute.
I said 30 seconds.
No, you said, but we were supposed to share that. But wait a minute, I'm gonna make it real quick. See, because I have been a part of this for a long time.
That's true.
I got up out of a wheelchair that I spent from 2002 till 2016 fighting for public mental health services, fighting for nursing homes, fighting for senior dignity. That's what I'm doing. I'm still doing that. I've gotten up out that wheelchair, you notice? And I'd still go down to Springfield. I still lobby for senior dignity. I still fight for mental health. I'm gonna still do it. I hope you're in it with me, but I'm gonna tell you the thing that hurts me most. And I realized the hurt that Leon suffered in the mental health field, and especially those people that are out there fighting every day for the people that are at risk out on the street. I'll tell you like this, I'm out there. I'm spending my time. I'm doing this. From the 28th of the month until the 10th of the month. I'm out there. Narcan is almost, I could do it in my sleep. We've got too many people that's out there suffering from these. And we need people that's out there that's going to actually stand up with us, stand up for us, and most of all, be the voices that say, we're not shutting down anything, we're opening it up.
And I would just like to say that Mr. Jackson was known for doing wheelies in his wheelchair during protests and locked up the center, was chained into those revolving doors to block access, and it took quite a lot to be able, so he risked everything at that moment. Oh.
It's okay. I know what my job is today.
Yeah, and ironically, the last time I was in the podium with the mayor, he had to remind me of the name of the person I was going to introduce next because it went through my name. And I would like to introduce Adrian from AFSCME.
Good morning. My name is Adrian Alexander. I'm the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs for AFSCME Council 31. AFSCME represents frontline CDPH staff that works in mental health clinics and on the alternative response care teams. Over the last 3 administrations, we fought hard against the closure of mental health clinics, advocated for investments in the remaining public clinics, and are now glad to have had the opportunity to collaborate with community stakeholders in the mayor's office to think through what the expansion of public mental health services in our city can look like. The mayor's office and CDPH are critical to prioritizing the hiring and retention of CDPH staff. To that end, they have sought, welcomed, and acted on input from our union. Creating new roles in public health means thinking creatively as to how to fill these positions rather than relying on the systems that have left prior programs unable to live up to their potential. AFSCME represented CDPH health workers are skilled, experienced, and dedicated to serving their communities. Ensuring that they have the resources they need to succeed, including adequate staffing levels, training, and safety on the job, is crucial to achieving these goals. By engaging labor and community stakeholders as partners, this report creates a template for expanding care teams and clinics across the city in a sustainable manner. This is only the beginning. We look forward to continued collaboration so we can succeed in expanding services to those in need. Thank you, and I welcome the mayor back.
All right. I figure eventually we'll get it right. Thank you very much, and I'm glad we got it right. And we also have, just one moment for a second, Alderman Ronnie Mosley has joined us from the 21st Ward. Can we give him a round of applause? Thank you. Okay, yes ma'am. Come on up here, Judy Keene. This is what the community's about. Come on. Go ahead. You want to say a few words here?
Yeah.
To me or to them?
To everyone.
To everyone. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I listen to, we don't all have the same story. We have similar stories. And in terms of this mental health movement and advocacy, and some of us sometimes feel erased. And so, and I listened to Cheryl mention some of the names. And I just can't stand here and listen to not having mentioned Nadana Carter. Nadana Carter was the leader of the mental health movement. She was a member of our board, and anyway, I didn't hear her. And she wasn't alone. But there are just so many people who told their stories, who stood up, and who who demonstrated, and weren't listened to, and anyway, it doesn't seem right to not mention her.
Say your name one more time.
Nadana Carter.
Nadana Carter.
And also with her, Mackinsworth Jekyll, Percy Smith. I mean, there were just a number of people, but in particular, she was a leader. And the other thing I just want to say is that I'm very pleased with what's happening here. But I also think that if we are going to promote mental health, we also need to look at how we treat each other in this movement, whether we are being inclusive, because some of us have felt that we were not included, even though some of us have been involved in this, that our voice was not valued the same way as others. And so I just want to hope that there are people who are part of the Community Mental Health Board and these other, some who are sitting here who were not invited to some of these sessions, these consults and what have you, and who use the centers. And so if we want to really talk about nothing about us without us, we have to be sure that we include the voices of people who use the centers as much as the people who are writing the papers.
Very well. Well, the whole world heard you today, so, all right. Okay, now hold on. Now, we can't turn this into a community town hall meeting just yet. All right, I'll try my best to hear every voice, but I want to make sure we have a little bit of decorum, okay? All right, so we'll have some time if you want to engage. Yep.
Hi, Mayor. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. You mentioned wanting to have this up and running by year's end. Can you walk us through what the estimated costs will be for this project and what your priorities will be over the next few months to ensure that this space will be ready to receive
Yeah,
care
as far
for
as the
people?
costs are concerned, we'll have somebody run that through to you because that's an extensive presentation and that's actually documented. We can get that to you over the course of the next few years, in fact. As far as the timing is concerned, look, when you neglect the community and you shut down a building, there's work that has to be involved in it. And our deputy mayor for infrastructure is here. I'm happy to have you spend some time with her to have a more substantive conversation around tuck pointing and everything else that has to be done around here. Okay.
Hi, Mayor.
Hey.
What does access look like
I'm doing
now
very fine too.
at the trauma-informed centers of care clinics that the city partners with? Will the city continue to also rely on those private nonprofit partners, and how does wait times compare for those private nonprofits to the city clinics?
Could you start over? All right,
Yeah.
So you asked about wait time. You asked about collaboration and partnership. Dr. Ige, please.
1 in 4 Chicagoans have a mental health issue. At this moment, there are over 300,000 Chicagoans waiting for mental health services. The challenge is that each therapist, maybe at maximum, can handle a caseload of 50 because people who need mental health services is not one and done. They stay in care for a long time. So the therapists carry a load which doesn't turn over quickly. And so the ability to take on new patients is reduced. So the partnership that we have is having a site in 77 community areas so that there is no wrong door. If you are already seeing a doctor for your blood pressure, we want that doctor to be able to screen you for depression or anxiety and be able on that same day book you an appointment in that same location for service. So that is a service we're offering, and that allows people to get into care. We have telepsychiatry. Like I said, my son can call someone on the phone right now and talk to someone. That is available for all Chicagoans also, regardless of what neighborhood you have. And then this option, in-person, physical location, in the most underserved community is another option that we have added to the mix. So when we say mental health service expansion, it is all options because there are thousands of people who need our help and they cannot wait. So we have all of those options. We're partnering with the county, we're partnering with the state, we're partnering with the federal government. There's 988 crisis. So every tool that we can have, we're using. Last week, we started a new initiative to train lay people to intervene in suicide. 50 people were already trained, and we've started to roll out more training in every community because we started to see an increase in suicide in Black, Brown, and Asian communities. And we don't have enough workforce ready now, so we're training community people to recognize the sign, question, refer, question, persuade, and refer. It works. So these are all of the tools that we're using. It is not either or, it is yes and. Every option on the table.
Would he be maintaining its then reliance and network of private nonprofit providers as it expands the public access, or will those be decreased to fund these new expansions?
We are using all of our options because the need is huge.
Hi, Mayor, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Great. Just want to reiterate the commitment towards the end of the year. So you said all of the 3 will open by the end of the year,
Yes.
the 3 clinics?
Yes.
And the 19 people that were hired, are those going to be specifically for those 3 clinics, and are you looking to hire more people?
Well, that's why our alders are here. Of course, we want to hire as many people as possible. As indicated, we have hundreds of thousands of families that are in need of care, just like, we have thousands of families that are in need of housing. What I said I was going to do is going to build housing. We're going to provide behavioral health services. We're going to hire young people, and we're going to build a safer city. Of course, we need more resources and funding from that. The federal, state, all levels of government have to participate in this effort.
CPD is not present at this press conference today, but they are involved in relieving, their efforts in the mental health crisis. What has the superintendent said about this and the reception that you've gotten from that side?
Well, I think you've heard the superintendent speak repeatedly about what officers experience when they get 911 calls. We rely too much on policing. It's just that simple. What we are building is a system of care. The full force of government is on display today.
Hi, Mayor. How are you?
I'm still well. We'll see what happens after your question.
I'll go easy. How would you assess the success of your Springfield agenda this past session? And when it comes to your biggest asks that were not taken up, such as more CPS funding, what's your strategy to win over state lawmakers moving forward?
Well, I think when it comes to more funding for the state of Illinois, keep in mind that the funding formula is falling short for the entire state. So this is not just a Chicago dynamic. There are other cities, East St. Louis, Kankakee, Waukegan. There are a number of cities that are underfunded. The strategy is what it's always been. We keep demanding. Now, hopefully it doesn't take us 13 years like these souls have put forward. The bottom line is that the city of Chicago is owed conservatively $1.1 billion. That's not a rejection necessarily of their overall effort. It's just letting people know that it's just not enough. So we're going to continue to organize and make sure that we have what the people of Chicago deserve. As far as the success there, we receive more resources for domestic violence. We receive more resources for violence prevention. We continue to take up, these efforts, particularly around, the migrant mission. It's $182 million that the state of Illinois is now going to provide this mission. So there are a lot of things that we were able to walk away with, and we're going to continue to fight for more.
AD Quigg has a question. The IG's office released a report today finding that since the 2020 civil unrest, there hasn't been time for meaningful CPD training on crowd control or a cohesive policy around when to use kettling and pepper spray. You've said that protesters' rights will be a priority during the DNC. Are you concerned about these findings today?
I haven't seen those findings. What I can say is that the city of Chicago, the police department, is committed to constitutional policing. As far as the DNC is concerned, it's not just the Chicago Police Department, it's law enforcement agencies from the area, along with the Secret Service. All of us will play a part in having a safe, peaceful, but yet energetic convention that ultimately, I believe, will propel President Biden back into office for another 4 years.
Hey, Mayor. Craig Wall, in case you can't recognize me behind these foster grants. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you.
Thanks for asking how I am.
Well, with those shades, I think I have a conclusion.
Just to follow up on that OIG report, they've praised the police for making progress, but do you have concerns that there will be enough preparedness for the DNC to make sure that while the protesters can demonstrate, that police can still control them without things getting out of hand? Because it's never a perfect situation, and as much as you plan, they can never perfectly execute.
Yeah. Well, look, we're still assessing and reviewing all of our safety provisions and plans for the DNC. And again, keep in mind, we're going to work with the Secret Service and other local law enforcement agencies to ensure a peaceful but yet energetic convention.
Have you had conversations with the superintendent about how they're going to handle mass arrests if that is necessary? Because obviously there needs to be control, there needs to be safety, and there may be problems that they have to address.
Yeah, well, there's training that is, again, that is ongoing, in a situation like that. The hope is that, of course, it doesn't get out of control like that. But as you said, you can prepare. I had a conversation, you can prepare, and there are things that could still happen. I had a really good conversation with Mayor Lucas in Kansas City about many efforts that they put forward, and where there were some vulnerabilities there that were exposed after the unfortunate and tragic shooting there. But again, I'm confident that the work that we are doing to secure a peaceful, safe, energetic convention, that work, though it's ongoing, I'm confident that we'll be prepared and ready when the day comes.
Good morning, Mayor. Over the years, the city mental health clinics were closed for several reasons. A couple of the reasons why is not enough people were going to them. There were also liability issues that the city had to take on. So have you done any type of analysis or study or cost analysis on whether this is worth the city's, if it's worth the city's cost?
Yeah. Yes, it is worth it. It is. Look, I made a commitment that we're going to build homes, provide behavioral and mental health care services, hire young people, and build a better, safer, stronger, safer city. Any investment that we make towards providing mental health services for families, it's a worthwhile investment.
And I know that you talked about staffing before, but there is a mental health worker shortage. So how do you plan on filling all the spots that will be open for this? And
yeah, no, look, there are shortages across government. But again, the reason why we have our labor partner here in AFSCME is because there clearly is not just a need, but there is a desire for the workforce to have opportunities, in particular to have opportunities to work for public health. So of course there's always going to be ongoing recruitment, but again, I just want to remind people that we are providing a solution to a problem. The problem is we haven't had mental health related services, and whatever rationale or justification that a previous administration has made of why families don't deserve mental health treatment, I am not those mayors. It's just that simple. We made a promise, I kept it, because it's going to save lives.
Hey Mayor, how's it going?
It's going very well. It has been a while.
Good to see you.
I appreciate the casual look today. I'm sure you'll put. I figured you were rushing over here to have time to give this man an opportunity to put his tie on. Who represents him? We got to figure out who his union is.
I am in a union, in SAG-AFTRA. So I want to ask you now. What was my question? I've spoken to a few aldermen who are concerned with the CPS budget allocation. They're saying that magnets are getting hit pretty hard, and some selective enrollment schools are getting hit hard. They cite LaSalle Language Academy losing 4 of 6 language counselors, and then Douglas High School in your neighborhood with 35 students getting 9 additional staff members to 31 staff members. Is CPS getting it right with its allocation?
Well, what I can say is this. For the schools that you mentioned, particularly one in my neighborhood, I can tell you what they did wrong before I was mayor. They starved those schools. I mean, you were covering news at the time in which they were shutting schools down, firing black educators. That's wrong. Now we have a formula that allows us to address the need for equity. Now, as far as working through the process and what the ultimate budget will be, the board will assess it, and they'll vote on a budget that reflects the values that I ran on. You know, this is not a zero-sum game. The fact of the matter is this, that we've had previous administrations that have had tremendous animus towards public education. Now you have a mayor who is taught in our public schools, first time. You have a mayor who sends their children to public schools. That has never happened. What better person to advocate for public education than someone who benefits from it, who relies upon it, and taught in it? So look, there is a transition that's happening. And as we continue to transition, remember, there was a clear promise. Make sure that we're building homes, because we still have people who are unhoused, who go to our public schools every day, and we're building homes. We said that we're going to hire young people, because when those young people get out of school, they need a job. We said we're going to provide behavioral health services. We're doing that. And that we're going to build a safer Chicago. We're doing all of that. And so it takes some time, of course, to make those adjustments, especially when you have had raggedy for so long. So there's an adjustment that people are making. Aren't you glad that we don't have a raggedy administration? Thank you all. Appreciate you all.